Welcome back to CelebReel, where we dive into the stories the industry never explains out loud. Are you ready for a new one? Because today's story is dark, powerful, and way deeper than fans ever realized. This is the real beginning of Katt Williams, a childhood so haunting, it shaped everything he became. Katt's story didn't start on a stage. It started when he was 13 years old, choosing to sleep on a bench in a Miami park, instead of staying in a home that no longer felt safe. That runaway kid, brilliant, hurting, and way ahead of his time, would grow into one of America's most electric comedians, only to watch the same fire that made him legendary begin pulling him towards self-destruction.
I had probably read 10,000 books at that period in my life. The only thing that you can count on is your God and yourself. And only half of that's true.
But no matter what the fuck was going on with me, I couldn't be depressed. America don't give a about a tragedy. We are the
Micah Sierra Williams, the boy who would become Katt, was reading full novels when most kids were still stumbling through simple sentences. His parents, strict Jehovah's Witnesses in Cincinnati, didn't celebrate it. They treated his intelligence like a problem. While other kids got grounded from TV, Micah got grounded from the one thing that calmed him: books. His father, John Cornell Williams, once connected to the Black Panther Party, carried the weight of rebellion. His mother, Brenda Louise, worked nonstop just to keep the family moving. But none of them knew how to raise a child whose mind moved faster than adults around him.
This is the kind of song when you walk into the Slauson swap meet with $400, and you know not only can you buy anything you want, bitch, you can buy.
By 12 years old, Micah was outthinking high schoolers, building science projects teachers didn't even believe he made. He was offered a National Science Academy scholarship, a way out, a lifeline. But even that couldn't fix the pressure building around him. But when Micah heard about that scholarship, something inside him snapped. Instead of chasing the opportunity, he deliberately failed a math test. The pressure, the expectations, the constant discipline, it all became too much. And when his parents found out, disappointment turned into rage, and that rage turned into something darker. Their words cut deep. The discipline got harsher. The house stopped feeling like a home and started feeling like a cage. Creativity wasn't encouraged, it was punished. Questioning anything was wrong. Every argument felt like a battle for his own spirit.
I'm just gonna go ahead and announce my retirement from stand-up. I'm kinda done.
And then came the moment that changed everything. The day young Micah looked his father in the eyes and realized that their next fight might go somewhere neither of them could return from. So he made the boldest choice of his life. He chose the streets over a house that didn't feel like his. With $2,500, a backpack, and a loyal Rottweiler puppy at his side, 13-year-old Micah Sierra Williams walked away from everything he'd ever known. No family, no plan, just pain, instinct, and a desperate need for freedom. He caught a ride with a truck driver at a Dayton stop heading toward Miami, running from the past, chasing the unknown. That little kid climbing into that truck wasn't just running away. He was carrying years of hurt on his shoulders. This was a kid who taught himself to read before kindergarten, now dropped into a world where survival had no manual.
Jesus left home at 13, so I didn't feel like I was out of pocket in any way.
When that truck finally stopped in Miami, Micah stepped out into Coconut Grove and turned a park bench into home for the next 4 years. While other teens worried about homework and crushes, he was worrying about staying alive. The library became his real school. 8 hours a day, every day, devouring books like meals, finally feeding the mind that had been punished for being too sharp.
Why is America that strong? Because of all of us that's in the room tonight. Not because white people are better or Hispanics are better, because blacks are better. No, nobody. We all are the same.
But knowledge doesn't fill your stomach, and hunger pushes you toward choices no kid should ever face. First, it was one unlocked car, then another. And before long, it became a routine, wandering quiet Miami streets each morning, praying for a door left open and a stereo he could sell for enough to eat that day. The same hands that once built science projects now popped locks just to survive. But the streets taught him things no classroom ever could: how to size someone up in a single glance, how to feel danger before it arrived, how to spot betrayal hiding in a simple tone of voice. And he learned one more thing, maybe the most important lesson of all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure.
A joke at the right moment could turn an enemy into a friend. Humor became his shield, the one thing that kept the chaos from swallowing him whole. For him, comedy wasn't a dream, it was survival. Then one night, fate handed him a microphone. At just 15, broke, and pretending to be older, he talked a Florida club owner into giving him a last-minute spot. When Micah stepped onto that stage, something inside him snapped awake. All the pain, fear, and brilliance he'd carried since childhood exploded into the room.
We're caught up with Williams as he was ejected from a South Lake Union hotel around 7 p.m. On Sunday, Williams was arrested after an altercation at a nearby restaurant. Police say he argued with customers and threatened the man.
I'm just going to go ahead and announce my retirement from stand-up. I'm kind of done.
His jokes weren't just funny. They were raw, real, and honest in a way nobody in there had ever heard. And when the crowd laughed, it felt like medicine. For the first time, being different wasn't a curse. It was power. They didn't just laugh, they felt him. Every punchline came straight from a kid who had nothing left to lose. That night, he realized he wasn't only surviving anymore. He was turning his trauma into purpose. But while applause hit him like lightning, the scars stayed underneath. The same street-born paranoia that once kept him alive never fully left. Trust felt dangerous. Letting people get close felt like stepping into a trap. Those survival habits, the ones that saved that homeless kid, slowly turned into shadows he couldn't outrun. By adulthood, the instincts that once protected him were now boxing him in. Micah became a master of pretending everything was smooth, smiling, joking, lighting up rooms like nothing touched him. But when the lights went off, the old wounds crept back in, whispering that no matter how far he'd come, he was still carrying the past on his back. On the outside, his rise looked like a movie, a homeless kid turning into a comedy star. But inside, the part of him that grew up too fast was still wrestling with thoughts he never said out loud. Then came 2001, the moment that flipped everything. The audition for Friday After Next wasn't just another job. It felt like destiny. When Micah walked into that room as Katt Williams, he didn't just read lines. He brought his whole journey with him. Every joke, every smirk, every sharp glance carried the energy of someone who had fought for every inch of his life. And when he transformed into Money Mike, it wasn't acting. It was truth disguised as comedy. That role cracked open a Hollywood door that had been shut tight for years. Suddenly, the same kid who once slept on Miami Park benches was sharing scenes with Ice Cube and Mike Epps. People screamed with laughter, but Katt knew why Money Mike hit so hard. Because he wasn't pretending. He knew the hustle, the charm, the slick survival tricks. That character was built from everything he'd lived. Then came BET's Comic View, and that's when his world exploded. Katt hit the stage like pure electricity, sharp, street smart, fearless. He didn't chase cheap laughs. He dropped the kind of truths other comedians were scared to even mention. Katt talked about race, struggle, survival, and the grind. Not from theory, but from scars. Every punchline came from something he'd lived, not something he imagined. By the time The Pimp Chronicles Part 1 hit HBO in 2006, Katt Williams wasn't just funny, he was a voice, a sharp, fearless truth-teller, cutting through crowds like a blade. That special went viral before viral even existed. His lines became neighborhood quotes, repeated in kitchens, barbershops, school hallways, everywhere. Katt looked unstoppable. But behind the scenes, the pressure was crushing him. Hollywood wanted him predictable, controlled, safe. But Katt was chaos instinct, raw brilliance, the exact opposite of what the industry tries to package. The more they tried to polish him down, the harder he pushed back. And the money didn't help. It made the past louder. Growing up with nothing, Katt always carried the fear that one bad choice could send him right back to that park bench in Miami. Every contract felt threatening. Every handshake felt like a setup. Every smile behind a desk felt like someone testing his loyalty. He could make arenas scream with laughter, but when the lights went off, the silence swallowed him whole. And that silence became dangerous. He started overthinking everything, every deal, every friendship, every moment. Trust became a luxury he couldn't afford. On the outside, Katt had the fame, the crowds, the money, the respect. But inside, he was still searching for something he'd lost way back in childhood. Peace. That wild, flashy persona? It wasn't just stage swagger, it was armor. A mask he built to survive a world that kept trying to break him. And the bigger Katt Williams got, the tighter the walls closed in. The same persona that made him unstoppable slowly became a cage he couldn't climb out of. Katt wasn't just a comedian anymore. He became a mirror. He forced America to look at itself, and a lot of powerful people didn't like what they saw. Because Katt didn't tell jokes to avoid the truth. He told jokes to expose it. Politics, religion, racism, celebrity hypocrisy. He put it all on the table. His comedy was too honest, too bold, too real. Hollywood loves illusions, fake morals, fake smiles, fake inclusion. But Katt refused to play along. He wasn't going to pretend racism vanished. He wasn't going to act like poverty is just a bad choice. He wasn't going to filter his truth for executives who wanted his edge, but not his honesty. He pushed every line society tried to hide behind curtains. Katt didn't just crack jokes, he used comedy like a weapon, cutting straight through systems built on lies and exploitation. And while the people loved him for it, Hollywood did not. Behind closed doors, executives whispered that he was too outspoken, too unpredictable, too honest. They wanted the money his talent brought in, just not the truth that came with it. The higher he climbed, the more alone he felt. Rooms full of smiling faces turned into rooms full of hidden agendas. Folks praised him to his face, then plotted against him the moment he left. And slowly the pressure started leaking through the cracks. His friends noticed the shift first, the sleepless nights, the jumpy energy, the way he'd glance over his shoulder, like someone was following him. That sharp mind that once protected him started spinning out. His genius on stage mixed with real-life chaos offstage. Some nights, he lit up the room like nothing could touch him. Other nights, the weight got so heavy that the jokes barely made it out. The line between performing and breaking down was getting razor thin. What used to feel unpredictable in a fun way started feeling dangerous, even to the people closest to him. The exhaustion, the paranoia, the shrinking trust. It all piled up until it felt like nobody could reach him anymore. Then the realization hit him hard. His success wasn't fixing anything. His roles weren't shifting the culture. His message wasn't sparking the change he hoped for. He started feeling like a pressure valve for society, someone allowed to speak the truth just enough for people to laugh, then walk away unchanged. The system didn't want his honesty, only his talent. And the same industry that once praised him was quietly waiting for him to crack. Then came November 2008, the moment everything finally broke in South Carolina. Katt was found at the Mount Vernon Inn, wearing only a bathrobe and a towel around his head, confused, drifting through the halls like he was caught between two different realities. When police arrived, he didn't fight, didn't run. He simply asked for directions to the nearest hospital. He was admitted for a 2-week psychiatric evaluation, confirming what the people closest to him had feared for years. Katt was battling bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. The mind that built his legendary comedy was also fighting itself. Those struggles didn't appear out of nowhere. They'd been quietly growing since childhood, shaped by trauma he never got the chance to heal. The same razor-sharp intelligence that made him unstoppable on stage became a curse when it turned inward. Reality and imagination blurred, fear and brilliance collided, and he found himself trapped in a fight no punchline could fix. But the real tragedy wasn't just what Katt was going through. It was what his breakdown exposed about everything around him. In many Black communities, mental health still gets brushed off or misunderstood. Asking for help is seen as weakness. Staying silent is seen as strength. So when someone like Katt, a genius shaped by trauma and survival, finally hit a breaking point, the systems around him didn't know how to respond. Traditional therapy couldn't keep up with a mind wired like his, and Hollywood definitely wasn't built to heal the same pain it profits from. After his 2008 hospitalization, the next decade felt like watching a slow unraveling in real time. His reactions became sharper, his behavior more unpredictable, and the public moments harder to understand. Then came 2016, the viral clip of him and a much younger student in Georgia. It spread everywhere, turning a respected comedy legend into a punchline overnight. It wasn't just shocking, it was heartbreaking. And it wasn't the only sign. Arrests kept piling up, possession charges, weapons accusations, incidents at home being investigated. Each headline chipped away at his legacy. Each moment made it clearer he didn't need judgment. He needed help. Promoters backed out. Fans were confused. And the man who once owned stages with nothing but a mic was suddenly fighting just to stay afloat. Katt wasn't collapsing because he lost his talent. He was collapsing because he'd been carrying pain his whole life, with no one to help him unload it. The world saw chaos, but they missed the truth. None of this was random. It was the visible fallout of wounds he'd been hiding since childhood. Katt wasn't out here trying to ruin his life. He was battling his own mind every single day. Every headline, every mugshot, every chaotic moment was really a flare from someone crying for help in a language society never cared to understand. And the entertainment industry? It had zero patience for struggle. They wanted him funny, not fragile. They cashed in on the pain he turned into jokes, but gave him nothing back when that pain started taking over. His circle split in two, those who saw him as a paycheck, and the few who truly cared. Sadly, the ones who cared were the first he pushed away. That old paranoia, the same instincts that once kept him alive, now isolated him. He built walls so high that even real love couldn't reach him. On stage, the brilliance was still there, but only in flashes. One minute he'd have the whole crowd crying with laughter, the next he'd drift into something that felt more like a breakdown than a performance. What used to make him exciting and unpredictable now made crowds uneasy and promoters scared to book him. And the saddest part? Watching one of the sharpest minds in comedy, unable to use that same sharpness on himself. He could dissect society, fame, politics, and hypocrisy with surgical precision. But when it came to his own pain, he couldn't see the truth anymore. His illness blurred everything. The line between reality and fear, truth and imagination, kept blurring. And the man who built his career on brutal honesty could no longer be fully honest with himself. Yet, even through the chaos, his genius refused to die. When he pulled up to Shannon Sharpe's club Shay Shay in 2024, he reminded the world exactly why he's stamped in comedy history. Within 24 hours, the episode hit 1 million views. People couldn't look away. Katt sat there sharp, fearless, and laser-focused, calling out comedians he said stole from him and exposing Hollywood politics with a clarity most people are scared to even whisper about. His confidence was electric, his truth raw, his storytelling unmatched. But what made that interview unforgettable was the contrast, the brilliance, and the pain sitting side by side. You could see the genius that built his empire, and the disorder shaking that empire from within. Katt Williams looked like a prophet and a prisoner at the same time, a man whose truth cut too deep for a world that only wanted jokes, not reality. His insights about the industry were sharp and often dead-on, but mixed in were claims critics used to dismiss him instead of hearing him. They labeled him unpredictable, instead of considering he might be telling the truth. And the hardest part? The same mind that gave him unmatched wisdom was pulling him deeper into isolation at the moment he needed people the most. Few people ever reached the level of insight Katt had, but that same depth also made trusting anyone nearly impossible. He was stuck in a painful loop, too talented to ignore, too unpredictable for anyone to feel safe stepping in. The industry loved his chaos, not his clarity. Hollywood wanted the fire he brought on stage, but none of the pain he carried behind the scenes. Now, the man who spent years exposing truths nobody wanted to face was being forced to confront his own. He needed help, but his illness made asking for it feel like another fight he wasn't sure he could win. And the entertainment world that cashed in on his brilliance never built a safety net for someone like him. No real support, no real protection, just cameras waiting to capture every slip. They turned his breakdowns into content, calling him wild, crazy, unpredictable. Like his pain was a character instead of a human struggle. His downfall sold headlines just as fast as his jokes once sold out arenas. In his brilliant, non-stop mind, everything became both a blessing and a trap. He could dissect power, race, exploitation, and survival better than almost anyone. But that same sharp awareness kept him locked inside the pain he understood too well. The intelligence that made him a legend also made peace harder to reach. And still, his impact echoes everywhere. You see pieces of Katt in every new comic bold enough to mix humor with truth. The rhythm, the swagger, the raw honesty. He shifted the entire culture, even if the world never knew how to support the man holding the mic. Katt Williams' legacy is complicated. Brilliance and suffering, triumph and tragedy, all tangled together. The world celebrated the performer, but it failed the person. Yet somehow, he's still out here touring, still stepping on stage like nobody else. And when that spotlight hits him, something incredible happens. The pain transforms. It turns into art, into truth, into laughter only he can create. He's not broken, he's untouchable. His trauma becomes honesty, his chaos becomes magic, and the crowd feels every bit of it. But when the lights go out, the battle continues. The mental illness, the loneliness, and a world that wants his realness, but refuses to carry the weight behind it. Katt's tragedy isn't that he struggles, it's that he struggles inside a society that profits off Black pain while giving almost nothing back for Black healing. So what do you think? Did Katt's truth-telling make him a target? Or is this just the cost of genius? Drop your thoughts below. Hit like, share this story with someone who needs it, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. See you on the next one.